I'd like to go ahead and get started here. So this is Centerville Community School District. Our mission statement is that all students will learn well, become lifelong learners, and contribute positively to society. We're going to have two meetings tonight. One will be a public hearing followed by a regular board meeting. It is August 15th at 20:25 p.m. in the Centerville Administrative Offices. We're going to start off with a public hearing about the proposed issuance of approximately $2 million of school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds. I'd like to call this meeting to order with a roll call, please.
Moore.
Here.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Shondell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Liska.
Here. I'd like to welcome all visitors. So Brad, Aaron, thanks for coming. And Rochelle, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. It looks like you're the only visitor on screen. So we'd like to welcome all the visitors tonight. And I know you're probably really interested in the second meeting, but thanks for joining us tonight. I'd like to go ahead and approve the agenda. If I can have a motion in a second, please.
So moved. Sorry.
Motion second to approve the agenda for tonight. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The agenda is approved. We have one item on our agenda for the public hearing. And we have one item on the agenda. It is the public hearing on the proposed issuance of the $2 million in bonds. And at this time, this is a time for public comment. Any board discussion we'll do in our regular meeting that will follow this meeting, but this is a time for anybody in the public to comment on the proposed issuance of $2 million school infrastructure bonds. Any comments from the public? Anybody else online that we don't know about that would like to chime in? Hearing no public comments on the proposed issuance of the bonds, that would conclude item number 5 on the agenda. At that time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
And we have a motion and a second to adjourn the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Same sign. The public hearing is now closed. We'll move into our regular board meeting. I'd like to call the regular board meeting to order with a roll call, please.
Moore.
Here.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Shondell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Liska.
Here. Again, we would like to welcome all visitors, and it's the same group. And I'm assuming, well, we do have time for a public forum. Is there anything anybody in the public would like to add or make a comment to the board on? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion. Good.
Mike and Mike, motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you. All right, new business. We have 4 things to do tonight. The first one is the resolution supporting the proposed issuance of approximately $2 million of school infrastructure bonds. That resolution is in your packet. It starts with this page, goes through there. Is there anybody on the board that has any comments or questions about the resolution before we move into action on it? Hearing none, no comments from the board on it. I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the resolution supporting the proposed issuance of $2 million school infrastructure bonds.
Motion to approve the $2 million bond.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution for the $2 million bonds. Roll call vote, please.
Moore.
Yes.
Mike Thomas.
Yes.
Bob Thomas.
Yes.
Shondell.
Yes.
Berger.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Liska.
Yes. Okay. Having said that, that resolution does pass. That will trigger a series of events down the road with Matt Gillespie. We don't have to issue, we're not on a immediate timeline. We can issue those bonds either this year, next year, whenever we want to, as long as the resolution has passed. Okay. So in the future, when we come to do the bonds, we'll just refer back to the resolution that we just approved. Okay. Having said that, the next 2 items do consider have to do with the Centerville High School addition project. The first one is to consider action on a resolution to award the bid. And the second one after that will be action on value engineering items, okay? So, does anybody have any question on the difference between those two actions before we get started? Does everybody understand what we're about to do? Okay, so the first one is consider and possible action on a resolution to award the bid for the Centerville High School addition project. Is there any discussion? Otherwise, we can move into action.
One question, if we, this approved, when would possible construction start?
Rochelle, can you hear us?
Yes, so if we approve those tonight, we would get started. And if your next agenda item is also approved, we would get started on those immediately. And then we will get contracts going. That will be our first. And that usually takes about 3 to 4 weeks just to get those processed. And I'm sure they'll want to get started very quickly after that, mobilized. So I would guess 3 weeks.
Okay. That's actually pretty quick, I think. And that would probably start with all the dirt work and everything.
Correct. Yep.
Any other questions on the high school project, on the bids?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Resolution.
Okay, Mike has put a second. Derek, okay. We have a motion, a second, to award the bids on the Centerville High School addition project as our low bidder to By State. Okay,
Mr. Roll call.
there's a roll call vote, please. Yep.
Moore,
Yes.
Mike Thomas.
Yes.
Bob Thomas.
Yes.
Shondell.
Yes.
Berger.
Yes.
Liz Carter.
Yes.
Liscus.
Yes. Okay. This next one may take a little bit more time, but we need to move into consider and approve the value engineering items for the Centerville High School addition project. So, any discussion you guys want to have first? How do you want to proceed? I have my own thoughts, but thought I'd hear from you guys first. Anybody got any thoughts?
There was a series of items that people were confidently interested in the last 2 meetings that maybe could be bundled together potentially.
Take a little time.
Yeah.
Okay. What does the board think? So does everybody have this document in front of you? Okay. So there were 3, I should say there's 4. There were, I'm sorry, those expenses. So the accepted, the ones we discussed previously in our previous 2 meetings on the work sessions, the maybes and the declines. Do you want to take these by consent as they are in the columns and the totals up, or do we want to just go through it quick?
I don't have that.
On the back. Oh, you don't have
No,
that.
I don't have that.
Or do we just want to go line by line and just vote on them individually? How do you guys want to proceed?
Let's go line by line, and that'll go pretty quick.
We'll go line by line?
I
Okay.
think so.
So when we do this, let's, I don't think we need a motion a second on each one of them. I think the way we'll vote on this, I'll just go through A1, overhead doors in the gym. All in favor? Yes. Well, actually, we have to, wait a minute, we have to have a motion a second to take action line by line on these, don't we? Mr. Rolls will do.
I would say you either group them or if you do it one by one, you're gonna have to do
Each one with the motion second.
and all in favor.
Yeah.
Can we just go, so we, the accepted, the maybes and the decline?
Okay.
Do you need a packet, Mike?
Yeah. Not here.
Here.
We just go through, get the general. Seems like I left it.
How about,
Motion to approve it.
We discussed that, we discussed it. Do that, we do it.
this is an interesting way to have to do this.
Because we're just voting on the document itself, right? And not the, I mean, because we vote on the overall document itself.
You mean this here?
Yes.
No, because there's some maybes that are gonna probably,
Well, but that's what I mean, if we have a discussion before, get a consensus on accepted, maybes, and decline,
Okay,
and then we.
So if you wanted to do it that way, you could say to vote on A1, A4, A5, A6, A8, A9, et cetera, down through the accepted by the engineers.
Okay.
You could list those off.
okay, so let's not overcomplicate ourselves with too many rules of order, okay? So here's what I would like, is a motion and a second to do the following. A motion to vote individually, item by item, with a strict yes, no vote. And dispense with having a motion second for every line item.
So now, let me clarify, yes means you're accepting it,
Correct?
and no means you are not
Correct.
accepting it. Okay?
So can we just have one motion and a second to take action with a simple yes, no vote on it without a motion and
And
a
then we're just
second?
gonna go right down the list.
We're gonna go right down the list.
So are you wanting are you wanting me to list out anybody that says no on each item? Is that what?
Yeah,
You want me to do
motion.
Could you do that without a motion and second on every item?
I just wanna make sure I'm clear on what you're doing.
What I would like to do, here's what I'd like to do. I would like to go through, as Mike Thomas suggested, just go yes, no on all of these, but I don't want to have a motion and a second for every single one of them.
Okay.
Is anybody gonna object to anything in the accepted column? If not, let's just vote on them all together at once, because it seemed to me we were in agreement last time. Did anybody change their mind on anything?
I think you got kind of like. if you
Okay,
go
then I would take a motion to accept everything in the accepted column.
I would move that.
Okay, thank you. Just trying to make this efficient without being,
It took a while to get there.
Yeah, it took a while, that's okay.
I think we're there.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
just- I want to know if everybody's comfortable how we're going to vote on this. All right, so we have a motion to accept, a motion and a second to accept all of the value engineerings listed in the accepted VE column that adds up to $927,467. We have a motion second on that.
Who's the second? I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay,
Now, do we have any problem with all the decline ones?
well,
We'll discuss it.
let's take it column by column.
Okay.
Trying to make this simple, but it's not working. So.
Just wade in, man, just wade in.
All right, we have a motion, the action before the board is a motion to accept, in a second, to accept the value engineering and the accepted VE column for $927,467,000. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, that list is, thank you for the efficiency on that one. Do we want to do the same thing for the decline?
No, because there was debate last time.
Debate on those?
Well, I think we need to
Okay.
talk about each one.
All right, so at this point,
One by one.
let's go line by line, starting at A2. So A2, eliminate overhead
No,
windows to the wrestling for $964.
that's not the overhead windows, that's the.
That's the viewing windows, that's the viewing, not the clear story. The incorrectly spelled clear story.
That one I would leave alone.
Me too.
I would decline that.
I agree.
Do we want to create a consent list and vote them all at one at the end?
That'd be the.
Okay,
There's only 3 or 4 of them, right?
yeah, all right, so just by both, go ahead, Derek. What were you gonna do?
Oh, I'd say, I think that would be the easiest way to.
Okay, so just by a simple
Right.
voice vote to put it on a consent vote, does that make sense? Okay, I got a yes, nod from Bob, so we're gonna go with that. All who want to keep this on the, oh, wait a minute, that's the maybe list.
Yeah. How about this? Motion to decline A2.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, decline A2, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, that one goes over there. Next one, let's just take them with a motion a second on these then. Eliminate the clear story to the wrestling room for $9,063. Any discussion?
Remind me why we didn't eliminate that last time.
It's the only windows in the wall,
No.
in the restaurant room.
It's not windows.
No, excuse me,
It is natural light.
natural light. Right.
Okay, that's right. Okay, I'm with you now.
Any discussion on the natural light in the
So
wrestling room?
We voted to get rid of the ones in the classroom. I guess, I don't
But
see
that was because it
that, it was.
was
51.
cheaper to build it, because they had to build that on the roof. This one is just in the wall.
Is that right, Rochelle? These windows for the clear story in the wrestling room are just in the walls?
So the $964 is the windows that are from a corridor into the
Right.
wrestling room, so you can
Yeah.
view the wrestling room. The next line item, A3, is for eliminating the clear story into the weight room, not wrestling room.
Oh,
So
it says wrestling, got it, okay.
That was my.
Yep.
Was in there, sorry.
So that should be weight room.
Got it, okay.
Might need more information before we can vote.
It's basically window, correct me if I'm wrong, Rochelle, but it's windows that are in the wall, they're up high, and they just let natural light in the weight room. Is that correct?
correct. Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
We're still gonna go in there and turn lights on, probably all the time.
Brad, what's your reaction to that?
I agree with Kevin. I think we're gonna turn lights on no matter how much natural light's in there. Then we're gonna turn lights on when there are kids in there.
Anybody?
You know, for me, I think the natural light would be important,
Okay.
even though you are gonna turn lights on. It's just like natural light in the classroom. I think that's important. But that's just my opinion.
And I think Mike's right. Make your motion, Mike.
Motion to reject A3.
We have a motion, a second, to decline A3. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. I'm gonna-
Wait, okay, tell me who opposed that.
Let's see, it's handed, all the yeses. 1, 2, 3, okay? All opposed? There's 4.
It's gone.
So then does it become an accepted? Because the motion was to
So now
decline.
we need a motion to accept.
Yeah, you're right.
Make a motion to accept.
Sorry.
Motion to accept eliminating the clear stories in the weight room. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
No. Or aye, or however you want to say it.
Yeah, no, okay. Did you vote, Tim?
No.
Okay, so 5-2. Okay, so that one is accepted. It's like a double negative in an English teacher.
You're not supposed to make negative motions to start with.
I know.
We haven't been following that. So.
Well, the motion was to decline it, and and it did not pass, which should mean it automatically was accepted. But
That was a weird one.
it was weird. M1 for $84,000, different manufacturers, and this is to put basically to put the HVAC units from the ground onto the roof.
Motion to reject.
Second.
We have a motion. Okay, I just want to make sure. When you say reject, means you want the unit to be on the ground only?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, decline.
So this is basically a motion to decline. So if we do a motion to decline and it passes, that's fine. If it fails, does it automatically become an accept?
No.
We're gonna have to take an action on the accept. Okay. Just want to make sure we're all right. This is a little weird. Okay. So we have a motion and a second to decline the M1 value engineering item. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. So that one was declined. Okay. I'm also trying to clarify so that Lisa can keep her notes correct.
I'm updating the document.
I
Okay.
can see things.
What's that? Oh, he's, okay,
Yeah.
you're, okay. M5, controls. All right, so these are, M5 and M6 are a little bit tied together. The M6 is to change some. M5 is to change all of the existing controls. If M5 is declined, then M6 goes away, right? because we're gonna do all of them, not part of them. Does that make sense?
No, if it's accepted.
Oh, yeah.
If M5 is accepted, right?
If M5 is accepted, then M6 goes away, that's the way.
Right, yeah.
Double negatives are getting me today, okay?
Well, there's a lot here.
Okay. So any discussion on the M5, the new master is to have the new master in the new part of the building and then not touch anything in the existing buildings, is the way it would work.
Here, I'd like to see where we're at money-wise. Have you been adding this up, Lisa?
We're at 936,530 accepted.
Okay.
What's our magic number where we're okay?
We're currently total under 694,470.95, but that's using 1.5 cash and not including the 2 million bond.
Okay, so what's in this document as far as the funding sources, we're using 1.5 of cash, and we're gonna add, there'll be another $2 million added to that number, okay? So, but if we do that, we're spending all of our cash. So basically what this is saying, out of the $2 million of bond, we're gonna put 700,000 of that 2 million to the project, and we'd have about 1.4 in cash for things like Howard's roof and things like that. But that's gonna have to stretch us through the next 6 or 8 years.
Could, I mean, this is a really big number. Could we look at the, I guess you'd say the declined list? Is there anything there that we could rethink, or are we pretty well sure we're gonna eliminate all of that? I kind of think I am.
Well, in one of those, in the consent of the accepted list, we basically accepted FS2, which means FS1 is automatically gonna be declined. And that is the biggest number in the declined list except for the demo. And I think there was a pretty strong consensus that we're gonna have Bi State do the demo because we don't wanna have to figure that out later. So of that list, the decline is really not 1.2, it's 700 some thousand, because that 517 has to come out.
Yeah, the math gets a little weird with some of those things.
So I think on your sheet, you just took that whole 517, 890, change it to 100,000, what you should do. So there's not, I think if you take everything besides the eliminate the demo, it doesn't add up to 233,000. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and the next big ticket item off that is the natural gas and electric utilities for Bi State. We just can't do that because we're contracted for utilities for the year. And then the next two big ones are, I don't think we're gonna eliminate casework in the classrooms. And then it's ceiling tiles, our floor tiles, ceramic tiles for maintenance issues. There's not a lot of money in that decline that I think we could add, that we're gonna add back in.
Yeah, I know there's a couple things that, I mentioned before. We don't have security, we don't have cameras, and we don't have asbestos abatement yet. Asbestos abatement, the last number we had, I think, was about 75,000.
That's the amount,
It's on this list.
that's the amount we have in the soft costs, the total soft
Yeah,
costs.
so it's in there. At this point, as much as I would like to have all of that in there, I'm ready to leave that. And maybe we could put it back in later as we get further.
So you're saying your motion would be to decline it?
Motion would be to decline,
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
not take it.
then we would accept it.
We would accept- we would
We
accept-
accept it as a value
We
engineer.
accept it as a value engineer.
This is one that, anybody else have any other thoughts on before I speak?
Let me make sure I got this. So that's M5. New controls with new master leave existing field.
So like the individual room thermostat thing. Rochelle, am I getting that right? That means like leaving the individual room thermostats and things like that, right?
Yeah, so option M5 is leaving everything in the existing basically as is, hooking up as much as we can to the new master, but leaving the existing thermostat and controls in the existing.
So then 6 has changed some.
Yep.
Why is changing some of them cheaper than?
Well, because
I'm
we,
missing something.
if you take the number difference between the 223 and the 48, what is it, 175,000 or so? We would, if we accept M5 and reject M6, if I got it going the right direction, what it means is we do $175,000 in controls, not 223. Is that right, Rochelle? Did I have that right?
Correct.
Okay. So we'd end up doing 175,000 to 223.
If we do M6.
Correct.
And by doing it means declining it. Am I wrong? Am I on the same page?
Right, decline it means that we don't get rid of those items.
Okay.
If we
So-
Accepting
accept
six.
M5, M6 automatically.
Right, so let's back up a little bit. The board action that we took before this one was to award the contract per the quote, per the design that we previously approved for the, whatever the total dollar amount was, okay? What we're doing right now is we're doing the change orders to take money out. So there's a change order potential in M5 to take $223,000 out through the controls. In order to take that cost out of the project, we have to accept the value engineering item, okay? So it is a little confusing with M6. So M5 says we're not doing anything in the existing building. In essence, what M6 is saying is we're gonna do about $175,000 in the existing building. There's 48,000 that we're not gonna do at that point. It is confusing.
So the difference in what it's gonna cost right now is the difference we're seeing here. It's actually more expensive M6 in the whole total
Yes, because we're only gonna take out,
process.
we're gonna take out $48,662.
Yeah, we're still gonna do 175,000, we're gonna take 48,000 out of it,
Right.
which we would have to do maybe sometime later.
I'm there now. It's just-
Okay, you know, this
It's
is,
weird, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
this is higher math.
Did Mike Thomas already make that motion?
I did not make a
Okay.
motion. I just
We're
assumed.
still in discussion.
I'm like Mike, I don't like doing that, but I don't think we have a choice.
I think Ferris Engineering told us to accept this one, was their recommendation.
Oh, okay.
Because, is that right, Rochelle?
I did not hear what you were saying
So
there.
so accepting the $223,000 value engineering to not do any changes to the existing controls, that was Ferris Engineering's recommendation to us, if I remember correctly?
That's the best value engineering option. Yes. Yep. That would be, you would eventually need to do something with your controls down the line, but it would not have to be immediate.
Yeah, because they said that was something fairly, it's a lot of money, but it's fairly easy to do later.
Right.
So,
Correct.
Rochelle, how early in the process would you have to know on this item? Is this something that we could wait and see if we decide to bond? And if
Yeah.
that bond is good to go? Because that's
Yeah.
another,
So
You could wait, we could wait for this for a little bit. Obviously, we would want to make some decisions probably by the end of the year. But yes, there could be a little bit, it doesn't have to be probably decided right this moment. But we could see where things go with your bonding.
Because this is one that I'm just not sure what the right thing to do is. Because I think eventually we're gonna do this. But I just don't understand the difference between the 223 and the 40. In other words, in the $48,000, what are we not getting? know,
You are
how-
not getting a completely updated system
Right,
with, right. You're getting, with a 48, $8,000 deduct. You're getting some updated controls in the areas that really need it, but not your whole facility.
And I think you're referring to the tech wing and the science wing and the auditorium, is that correct?
Correct. Wood shop, auditorium, and science wing. Yep.
When we talk about control, we're talking about, I know we talked last meeting, I mean, that's the ability for an outside company to come in, over the computer, look at stuff, fix it, things like that.
Yes,
correct?
but it's also control within, so like you would have an opportunity to look at how your buildings are functioning within your district. You have a system that it all runs off of that you're able to access anywhere within the district.
So the equipment that's in the tech wing remains, the equipment in the science wing remains, and the equipment in the auditorium remains. It's just the way it's controlled. It's all under one sort of umbrella.
Correct. Yes.
That stuff.
Yeah, it's like the thermostats, I bet a lot of money is running, I don't know how much wiring has to be run, I don't know. But it's the hardware, it's the tech hardware to run the HVAC hardware. A lot of money for controls.
Yeah.
But it does allow,
Handy.
it does allow an outside person to look in and see what's going on. Otherwise, you gotta send the guy down to look. That's the way that works.
And
So-
Eric's been dealing with guys coming down for that Lakeview building about every day for the past 3 weeks. It's running now, but that's been a bit of a pain in there.
So I guess,
What's the average?
I don't know if this is the question I should ask her, if this makes sense, I'm trying to make sense of it in my mind. Is it for convenience for outside contractors or convenience for us?
It would be both, when you say, Aaron?
Both,
I
yeah.
would say
Yeah,
both.
yeah.
Diagnostic and troubleshooting to just simplify the process.
He would know what was happening without walking down there. You know, you don't have to be on site to know what's going on with your system.
I mean, part of this, I mean, it's an expensive line item. Part of the issue, and I think Derek, you started to ask what's the cost to get somebody to come down?
Yeah.
I don't think it's the trip charge will probably be $400 or $500. Because I know that from the restaurant, we've had restaurants that want us to come and work on a commercial that we're really not equipped for, but they were paying $300, $400, $500 on trip charges, because you gotta pay for somebody to leave Des Moines or Cedar Rapids, and you gotta pay for all that tech time while they're in the vehicle. They charge full rate for that. Yeah, because they could be making that revenue locally in Des Moines on calls. So they're not gonna do it at a cheaper rate. So one of it is the cost. The second thing is, can you get somebody?
Right.
That's the harder thing. It's a lot easier to get somebody on the phone and dial in, and cheaper, than it is to get somebody in a service truck and spend a whole day for one little call where they could be doing 6, 8, or 10.
It's for me to put 2 guys in a truck and send them to a Tumblr and back, it's $460. And they didn't do anything. They just got there and back.
Right.
And we're cheap compared to most companies.
No, I'm cheap. I'm gonna start charging more.
Yeah.
But so, no, the issue is actually getting somebody. That's really what it is.
Okay, so then, I guess my next question would be, how much have we put off that we say we gotta do later?
This,
Food service. That's the only one. I think everything else we're gonna, once we eliminate it, it's probably, the only thing I think we're gonna add back in there is the food service.
Bleachers,
Bleachers, okay.
bleachers might be good at some point.
Yep, yep.
And potentially that west parking lot at some point, maybe.
Yeah,
That
but we
would,
have
that
to
one
wait
can
a
wait
few
a long
years for
time.
that one.
That one can wait a long time. Yeah. You're right.
Maybe sound panels in the gym, depending on what if we're looking at the accepted value engineerings, bleachers, sound panels in the gym would be a potential future thing. A wall graphic, which is gonna be cheap, display cases, which we're talking about doing internally. If we ever did wanna add more locker room lockers back, but I really don't see that we would ever want those. Like you said, food service, the rest of it is all changes.
Yeah, some of those can be handled in the summer maintenance projects. The big one is the food service.
Well, what do you think about tabling M5, M6 until January?
I'm okay with that. That's actually kind of where I would like to know more about this one at some point, because I'm just not, my head's not wrapped around
You
it.
know,
Can we
Now,
get
Rochelle
more
said she needed to know by the
information
end of the year though.
on these?
Yeah, so maybe.
So maybe December, cause Rochelle said she probably needed to know by the end of the year on that one.
Okay.
sure, that's fine, but I mean, we got a couple of things coming up like excavation. We don't know what we're gonna,
Right.
you know,
Right.
there's gonna be some things right off the get-go here with this project that may jump up and bite us. And if we wait a couple of months, it just might, be a smart.
I feel more comfortable waiting and understanding this one better. So basically, if we decline this, we're leaving it in the project for now. And we could come back at a later time and say, we've learned more, we think we want to just not do this.
Could you just table it though?
I'd like to,
If we table it, we're basically rejecting it,
yeah,
Temporary.
temporarily rejecting it.
yeah. But we would let the contractor know that we're gonna decide this later. Okay.
Okay.
We're not really rejecting it yet, but
Okay, make your motion.
Yep.
I move to table M5, M6.
Second.
All in favor of tabling, we have a motion second to table M5 and M6, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so that one is tabled, so basically, it's still in the project, tabled for later. Okay,
Then,
so that's all the main, now,
so we need to deal with
the
the
decline.
declined column. And if we're all in agreement, we could make a motion to
To mass decline the entire column for, it's actually not it's not actually 1.2 million, it's because that 517 is actually 100,000.
Make your motion.
motion to decline everything in that column.
Second.
Motion is second to decline the value engineering items as listed in the column. Do you have the time? On that?
The column letter, like F?
No, the dollars.
I can,
That's
so
okay.
it's different.
Just to, basically, motion second to decline the column as listed in the board packet. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, so that column is declined. So those items will stay in the bid package. Okay. Thank you. That was a little bit of mental gymnastics to pass a motion to decline something. So, thank you for that. I think that concludes our value engineering exercise.
You don't get to spend that much money every day, guys.
I know, to me, this is, it's probably one of the most significant things we'll ever do, maybe in our lives.
Probably.
And I know for me personally, I was put on a committee to start looking at the future of facilities in 2013. So this is a 9-year coming to fruition thing, and I know you guys have been on the board working this longer than the rest of us. And I think when you go back and look at it, somebody wrote in an email that I think it was maybe in your thing on Sunday, that, you know, we're making decisions that affect the next 100 years of the school district, and that's no small task. And so I just proud of the board for taking the time and the effort over the last few months and all the extra time that you put in board meetings to make this happen. So just my personal appreciation to everybody on the board. With that, item D is approve the SIAC committee. Mark, why don't you talk us through this?
SIAC committee is required to meet every year,
Well, before I do that, Rochelle, I think we're done with you. Do you have any comments you want to have for the board, or we can let you go before we do the last one?
No additional comments, just thank you for working with us, and glad we get to see this thing move forward and look forward to it. So thank you.
All right, thank you to you and your team. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks. Okay, sorry, Mark.
No, you're good. So the SIAC committee, School Improvement Advisory Committee is to meet each year, to go over the school district's comprehensive school improvement plan, CSIP, goals and various other things. Unfortunately, as I hear it, the SIAC committee hasn't met for a few years, so we're kind of getting back on track, starting fresh with a new group. So on the table in front of you are the names of the folks on this committee. Iowa code requires a strict 50-50 balance, male-female, on the committee, so we worked to balance that out, and we're still looking for additional members to maybe add as we go to represent some different groups that we don't have great representation from yet at this point. As we would do that, we would need to add a male and a female at the same time to adhere with Iowa code. We'll meet at least twice this year to kind of get caught up with some things we're behind on. So we'll meet once in September for doing those required goals, and then one more time in the spring to talk about another requirement is that every 5 years a district undergo a needs assessment where they basically survey their community and get feedback on a number of different areas, and I'm working on kind of finding some examples of that needs assessment out there for this spring. So probably just a couple meetings a year for this group, but definitely a valuable group to get feedback from parents in our community and various community members. I think that's.
I would suggest if we're adding people, that we look for people from some of the smaller towns in our community. We need their support.
Yep.
And we've not reached out to them the way we should, I think, Brenda.
That's a good
How
idea.
was this committee put together?
I worked on principles to get a few names. I think as I get to know people, I'll probably start to recruit some people too. Just kind of breaking back into things a little bit here.
And Mark, are the principals always included in this group?
Generally, most districts include their administrative team because they're usually there to speak to the student achievement items that you talk about with your SIAC committee. So they'll, like Terry would talk about student achievement with the group and things of that nature. We included the deans because my hope would be that they will, as we go through, speak to student discipline items. Not specific individual students, because that would be a violation of rights and everything, but just the general idea of student behavior. Because they will be the ones dealing with a lot of that.
Any other questions on the SIAC committee appointments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the SIAC committee members as presented by Mr. Taylor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes, committee is set. And with that, I just, again, want to thank everybody for all the work that you've done to get all this. We're not going to have, there's not another meeting scheduled until, I think it's the 8th or something like that, or not, whatever the date is in September, so 12th maybe?
I believe you're right.
Is it 12th?
The first Monday is Labor Day.
I think it's the 12th.
That's the 5th, yeah, so it's the 12th.
Yes,
It was
the
8th, it was August 8th, that I was thinking of the 8th, so anyways, enjoy your 3 weeks off from board meetings. I would like to thank you all for that, and I would also like, huh?
We just changed this.
And I'd like to thank everybody on the board for writers for IASB. I appreciate the intent and the commitment to do that, so you just have my personal thanks and appreciation for that. Anybody have anything? I won't ask for board takeaways, but anybody have anything else for the good of the group?
Is this the appropriate time to talk about either keeping or abolishing the
Yes.
committees?
If we want to do that, we could, there's none on the agenda, can we discuss that?
Probably not voting on it,
Can't
really.
take action.
We can't take action if we discuss it without taking action.
It's a board takeaway, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
The board
What's the board
takeaway.
takeaway? So go ahead, we'll pretend it's, we won't take action, we'll have to take action.
No, I don't want to, I thought we should.
Let's talk about it, go ahead.
You know, when you start construction, there's a whole lot of things happen. Being on the facilities committee for so many years, and I think it would be a good idea to abolish the committees so that everybody hears the same thing. I mean, tonight was a classic example about the controls. I understand the controls very well, but obviously some of you don't. And so, we all need to hear that at the same time, I think.
Okay.
And other things as as the construction progresses, it's pretty important. I mean, we're building a new school, not adding on to Lakeview, and we're not, it's a much bigger project.
I agree with Mike. I was never a fan of the committees. I don't, in my opinion, they didn't work.
So, that's of having set committees, but we could still, let's say we have something come up, we could still maybe have a little special committee for whatever.
An ad hoc.
Ad hoc, yeah.
Yeah, sure, we could still do something like that.
Yeah, I would support that.
That would be in line with our current board policy too.
Okay. So then, since we have meetings scheduled twice a month, most months, the work session started at 5 and regular board meeting at 6:30. What would be your thoughts about the meeting times? And do we still want to do something starting at 5, like a work session 5, then go into a board meeting each time? Or do we want to have a 6:30 first half of the month, that is a regular meeting, and then a board, 6:30 work session the second? What are the thoughts on that? I mean, I know we're all in favor of more longer meetings, because that's our practice, but.
I guess I haven't understood why we have a work session and then a meeting. A work session seems like you can't really do anything, you just listen or you just discuss. Why can't that happen at a regular meeting? A work session tends to hobble me, because it's all fresh on our mind, let's act on it.
I think there's been some examples in the past where if we had something presented to the board in a work session and then gave everybody a couple weeks to think about it, it would have paid off more.
Well, yeah, and I agree with that, but I think there's some things that, you should have the option to act on it then.
Because I think this is why I would say I kind of want to separate some of them.
Sure.
Is because, okay, we're in a regular board meeting, something comes up, and there might be a tendency of somebody to say, I want to have a motion and a second to act on it now, where there may be some people who say, oh, wait a minute, I want to think about this more. And they're not allowed to do that because we have the opportunity to have a motion, second, and act on it. So it would take away from the ability to, because once that motion second is made, then you can't table it, right?
Yes, you can. Yeah. and
You can move to table it?
Takes precedence over what's the main motion, yeah.
We'd have to learn that Robert's Rule of Order, that I think as a
There's a
board.
book on it.
It's pretty easy.
But that's not a practice that I think most board members understand how to do that.
They can learn.
So you can have a motion to do something, and then someone else can make a motion to table it, and that takes precedence.
So we'd have to have a work session on the Robert's Rules of Order, what board members can have.
Now you just do it as it happens.
I'm willing to go either way. It's just that it seems that,
I guess, looking at this, and when I got on board, I planned on having long meetings. I mean, I know it's tough on our paid employees, the way it's been going, as a board member, I've never felt that I've had all, on a lot of things, never had all the information. And that's unfair to board members who are, responsible for the district. So this may just be me, and I'm sure, like I said, with our paid employees, it's tough, because we need to get them home, but as a board member, I'm prepared to have a long meeting when we have a board session, that's part of being a board member.
well, I think you hit on something there, is that I think at some times in the past, we've had a vote when board members, admit it, I don't know anything about this, but they voted anyway.
Yep.
You know, at that point, you know, it really gets to, you need to stop this and say, wait, I don't have enough information to decide this. Or, you know, I think we owe the public that responsibility to educate yourself on before you vote.
Okay, let me ask a little technical question on Lisa here. When we set the school board calendar for the year, did we vote on that, or we're gonna have to vote to change the calendar? If we do that, we have to vote to change the calendar, just so you know, just,
No big deal.
no big deal.
Why?
Because we voted to set the board calendar and publish it to the public.
Yeah, for board meetings and at every work session.
Yeah.
We have a board meeting all the time anyway, so
Yeah.
we didn't change anything when we did that.
But we just have to republish the board calendar, well, technically, we have to do that.
Okay.
I mean, your loophole is you call it a special meeting, so you don't have to publish, I mean, you have to publish the meeting, but you don't have to change the
You
calendar.
don't have to change the calendar, but I think in this case, we probably just change the calendar if we're gonna change it.
I would think if everybody's in the same room, I think, yeah, there is potential for some longer meetings, but I think there's obviously gonna be less confusion, less, I don't really know. You know, so I don't know, could you do your work session, committee report, however you wanna word that, 5 to 6, and then start that regular board meeting, 6 o'clock, versus having a regular meeting and then going after. I mean, there are some board meetings that'll go 8, 9 o'clock.
Well, and what kind of, and it kind of get, you know, in order to speed things up, when I get a principal's report and it's all written out, I don't need to hear the principal get up and reiterate the report. I've read it, you know, and if I have a question, I'll be glad to ask. But I think we could speed the meeting up if you were conscientious about reading all of those reports before you came to the meeting, so you could just accept it.
And see, on that issue, I would take the opposite of, yes, I read the report, but it's also good to hear from our principals. It's good to let them have a voice, you know, in front of us.
Right.
And so I actually appreciate, because sometimes things come up and out, and you can ask them questions just based on the dialogue. So I actually, because that's all about, you know, the mission statement is that we're more directly involved with kids than we are in some of the things that we do. So I hear what you're saying. I like hearing from the principals.
Yeah, it's just that Bob and I were on the board when meetings meant 11:30.
We don't want to do that.
Okay, and those sorts of activities facilitated that, is what I'm saying. And it, you know,
I think there was before we were on the board, there was a tendency to micromanage things a little bit, and just be much more involved, I think, probably.
Well, hopefully, since we have the ISB governance, rowing versus steering, we would micromanage some things.
yeah,
To me, that's a good visual, rowing and steering. Yeah.
yeah. As far as I'm here, I'm just here for policy, approved contracts, let that man run it. You know, I don't want to micromanage anything.
I think, I remember Marty saying one time, when you don't have any money, you spend your whole board meeting talking about how to find money. You don't have any chance to do the things that we're doing now. And that's why those meetings took so long, because there was no money. And we've changed our financial situation so that part goes a little bit faster than.
Well, I do think getting rid of I'm not in favor of getting rid of the committees. And I'm in favor of, hopefully when everybody goes to ISB and you pick your work session, take Finance 101. Even guys who've been through it before, probably go back to Finance 101. And I think that will help with the board's financial literacy. So when we do talk about through some of these things. So I'm in favor of getting rid of the committees. I guess, do we want to start at 5 or do we want to start at 6:30? I think at this point, because we've scheduled, I guess I'm just open to how we want to schedule it. You want to put some people together to kind of talk about it as an ad hoc, or do you want Mark and I to come up with a proposal and present it next meeting on the 12th, or what do you guys want to do?
I think we're all here.
We can't,
I'm ready to start
we
at
can't
5.
decide that.
What's that?
I don't think we can decide that.
No. Well, I'm looking for guidance on to present something by the 12th, so.
Yeah, but I don't think we can even do a consensus on
Okay.
Why not?
Actually, I think, so the way I understand it, board president calls a regular meeting of the board, including work sessions. So if the board president were to call the meeting at a different time, we would be within the letter of the law. And I'd have to look at our individual board policy, because I did talk to the Association of School Boards gal, and we do have a few policies that are kind of left field from what people are doing these days, but if our individual board policy doesn't say anything to that effect, you would have the power to call a meeting at a different time as board president.
I've been doing a lot of that, so that's good to know.
Yes.
Okay. What's your opinion on starting at board meeting at 5 o'clock?
I like it.
What's your opinion?
I do. I like it.
We're good.
Jim? Okay, got it. Thank you for the non-consensus.
Yep.
All right, so here's what I think, that maybe Mark and I will talk about how we will, and maybe
I'm
I'll
trying to
bring
find
you into
that
this.
there are some differences between work sessions and general meetings. I know one of them is around public comment. You're actually not required to offer public comment during a work session. But there's some other items. I'll try to find those and send those in my next agenda, my update to you guys, so you've got that too, so you're aware of that.
I kind of like the idea of starting at 5 and getting out earlier. Okay. That works with everybody's schedule then? Okay. So I know you probably have a little bit, and Tim, you have a little bit of a 5 o'clock sometimes stuff.
I can usually make it work.
Okay. I used to, I don't anymore, so, okay. All right, so I think we've got enough guidance that maybe I'll drag you into this too, and we'll sit and we'll work on it. On revamping the schedule. I do appreciate, I do think it is the right move to get rid of the committees, and I do think it will make us a smarter board in all the issues. And we'll just kind of go through it, and we'll adjust as we need to, so.
There's another item, and I don't think we can take care of it. There's an email from the Iowa Association of School Boards that we should be choosing our delegate to the delegate assembly. There's something that they need to get corrected right away before the convention, and we're supposed to choose somebody.
So we need to put that on the next agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. I know there's only one person that really likes being a delegate.
We talked about being a delegate a lot.
Yeah, all right, so we'll have to put that on the,
Okay.
thanks for that. I probably missed that.
And with some, it's stuff that she said about the convention somehow, I think I saw it.
I do remember seeing something, I didn't think it was on
It
the.
seemed important to them, but
Okay.
they didn't clarify what it was.
Okay. So, at 6 o'clock, 1 hour, we're done. I appreciate everybody's time. It is raining, it is dinner time. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Remain in seats.